Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to yet another virtual roundtable discussion by LeadSquared titled Transforming Legacy Systems with Technology. We are thrilled to have you all with us today, no matter where you are joining from. I'm Sneha Mahato from the marketing team, and I will be your host for today's session. So, today, our distinguished panel of thought leaders, boasting a combined experience of over 50 years, is here to share their expertise and engage with you on the future of the healthcare sector. Today, we are going to be discussing about the future of healthcare where innovation isn't just a buzzword, it's a strategic roadmap. The healthcare landscape is evolving rapidly, bringing both new challenges and unprecedented opportunities. While older systems may have served us well in the past, they now often impede progress by reducing efficiency and posing security risks. In today's roundtable, our expert panel will delve into these transformative changes and we'll be collaborating on strategies to facilitate the transition from outdated to modern systems. To make this session as engaging as possible, we encourage you all to share your thoughts in the questions tab or the chat box down below, and we will be sure to pick them up throughout the session. We'll also be floating certain poll questions coming up as and when the session progresses. Please do take a moment to respond to them too and help us get an idea of you better. Now, let's meet our distinguished panel who will be guiding us through.
I think we lost Sneha, I believe.
Yeah,
I think we need to take over.
yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
This is innovation of technology, Vineet.
So, we call it as a redundant or resiliency.
Correct. This is the BCP.
It's a risk.
This is the BCP.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, Sneha. Though I think so, audience. I'm sorry. I mean, Sneha has lost her internet, and I am going to introduce again. We have on the panel three guests, three veterans of their of their fields, who are going to make this discussion very interactive and very informative for all of us. So, sir, I would want to start with one a report. I'll just read two lines of the reports, and then we will open for a discussion. 2024 is expected to strengthen the healthcare industry with a lot of innovations and discoveries. Now, we see that healthcare is already on the verge of digital transformation. A lot of digitalization is happening already, and in the future we will see that there is a lot of changes which are there on the table, but these changes are not very easy to adapt. So there are kind of a lot of challenges also to kind of change or to modernize the legacy systems. So in future, we are definitely seeing that a lot of abilities, capabilities, and strategic breakthrough of technology is going to happen. And this is the topic of the discussion as well. That how how new age technologies are kind of very critical for success in healthcare. And with this, I would want to start the discussion. My first question, it will be to all the speakers, and the question start with the first line of the last sentence that I made. That what are some of the biggest kind of changes that you have observed in the healthcare landscape in the past few years? And which has also, very imperatively has kind of driven the need for the legacy system modernization. So we can start with Mr. Srinivaslu.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thanks for giving this opportunity. Just a lighter note where Sneha was mentioning. Good that she mentioned combined experience of 50 years. I thought I was, for a moment I realized it's going to be individual. Okay, that's the lighter side. Okay, so coming back to your question, sir. I'm from Aravind Eye Hospitals. We are, being world's largest eye hospital. 20,000 patients in a day, actually. That's our footfall, okay? And I mean, we do almost 5 lakh surgeries in a month, okay? So it's a non-profit organization again, completely, I mean, this is possible, okay? As I was talking in the beginning, like, our focus is high volume, high quality, and affordable eye care. That's our vision, okay? So whatever we do, we ensure, it is for affordable eye care, okay? So and that too, it should reach to non-reachable people. That's our, so our vision itself, eliminate needless blindness, okay? That's very clear. So all these things are achievable for us because the innovation is a part of our DNA. Everything is innovation for us, actually. I mean, you will find a lot of kind of a case studies about Aravind model, okay? Being a non-profit organization, how we are being so self-sustained, successful in the world, actually. So there are case studies in Harvard, and anyone who does the MBA, they go through our case study, okay? So coming back to the transformation, if you see, I mean, for us, everything is efficient way of resource utilization, okay? How we can utilize the resources optimized way. So now we are all talking about telehealth, telemedicine post COVID, right? Okay, but we have been using telemedicine, 80s of the early 80s, to reach out to the people in the rural villages, and in fact, we had a people from Cornell University to build a VSAT from Madurai to Theni. That time we didn't have a Wi-Fi at all, so we built a VSAT to serve the patients in the rural villages. So the technology has been very focused, that's why we are able to serve 20,000 patients in a day and so many surgeries. So it is, and apart from the technology, the innovation is again part of our DNA, okay? So I mean, that's what I would like to share in my first round of discussion. Yeah.
Sir, thanks a lot. We would want to go to Mr. Shatu as well to understand his thoughts. Okay, please, sir, enlighten us on this.
So thanks so much. So we work very closely with hospitals and healthcare providers in sort of modernizing the technology solutioning that's there in the industry. I think one of the biggest requirements, I think, as Mr. Srivastava has just said, is there is a need for driving efficiency, right? We see this efficiency, the factor we see it as time, right? Technology has to improve the factor of time efficiency in hospitals, whether it is the time taken by a doctor to meet an OPD patient, time taken by a doctor or a nurse in the wards, time taken by a doctor or nurse in the surgical, because it's a proven fact. I know there's been lots of reports about it, but now at least COVID proved the fact that we are short of doctors, we are short of specialists, we are short of nurses. Now that's not going to change in the next 50 years. But the population is growing. So how do we meet this demand supply mismatch? The only way you can do that is through a technology revolution. There's no other way to do it. To me, the core of that is going to be data-driven care. So how do you get effective data and then use the advancements in technology to present the data in a meaningful way? And then I'd be very careful to use the effective use of AI and ML to try and ensure that you are actually making a doctor's or a nurse's life easier. I think these are the areas of focus that we need to see in the technology revolution that is going to take place. I think where legacy systems are leaving out is, if I look in the space that we operate in, legacy systems have been largely billing and ERP systems. Clinical systems have never been the order of the day. I think what has shifted today is that the clinical system is the order of the day. And the legacy system over a period of time, at least in my personal view, is going to become totally automated with technology. If you're seeing the way that the insurance is progressing, the way the government is putting together the insurance packages, etc., and including today's announcement of the government of ensuring that insurance settlement for cashless patients is done within 3 hours and so on and so forth. In 3 years' time, fast forward, your need for a billing desk will slowly move away. right? Because you will have everything in packages. And the reason why you would want to do that is because for anyone, any healthcare institution, profitable or not profitable, margins are going to be of great relevance. Now, the only way you're going to be able to optimize those margins is by effectively using technology to either bring patients back in so that you don't lose those patients, which is where CRM solutions come into play. And the second thing is to ensure that you, once a patient is in, you're able to manage the entire patient lifetime value in your system so that you don't, you're not only doing one piece and then you lose the patient for everything else. So I think all of these sort of things is where technology is going to play a role, and you cannot use legacy systems to do this. That's one. Second is you also will need legacy systems to move away because interoperability of data cannot be done with legacy on-prem systems. Standardization of data care cannot be done by legacy systems. So I think these are few factors which will come into consideration for hospitals and healthcare providers to make this change.
Thanks a lot, sir. So Mr. Prem, your thoughts on this, please.
I think we don't hear you, Mr. Prem.
You're speaking on.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Yeah.
So, good afternoon, all, and thanks for inviting me to this panel. And it was really a privilege to be a part of discussion along with Srinivasu and Shiato. So great to meet you guys as well. So, I am from St. John's Hospital, Bangalore. So, we are a 60-year-old organization. So, we see about roughly 2,500 to 3,000 patients a day. And we have two more centers which are in the rural setup. So collectively, we manage about 3,500 patients a day, OP, as well as IP around 200 to 300 admission and discharges a day is what we see. So being a 60-year-old hospital, it comes with a list of baggages, right? So in terms of technology. So I'll put it in a very simple way. So what are the challenges that we have is I would say it as 7 C's, right? The first C is basically the consumable, right? Paper everywhere. So how do we beat that system, right? And second is the collaboration aspects. How do one doctor or how do one nurse collaborate with the other? So it's simple, like, how do you transfer a patient from one department to the other, and what are the communication that needs to be established, right? The third part is the connectivity. How do I provide accessibility to my patients? So do they have to travel 200 kilometers, come here and find the doctor not there and go back? So how do we ensure that there is connectivity? And the third is since we have a lot of rigid system, customization is going to be a challenge, right? That is the fourth C. And the fifth C is the communication itself, right? How do we communicate with the patient? How do we take the feedback? Do we have a proper CRM in the market today? I don't think so, right? So how do we value the feedback? How do we work on the feedback and give a value to the patient? So all this needs to be there. And the last C, the seventh C, is the competency part. Do we have adequate competency in the market to run our systems? Right? So these are the 7 challenges that I see, as part of the organization.
Thanks a lot, sir. It was like really wonderful to know all the 7 C's. Now, just a thought, when like a person enters in a hospital, if the person is a patient himself, like however like beautiful the building of the hospital is, however like welcoming the environment is, but the patient is never in the like right spirit of mind. Right now, he is having some pain, maybe. It can be of anything, like related to anything, but there is some pain inside. And that's when he enters in the building of the hospital. Now, while entering in hospital, from a technology perspective, as you mentioned, you touched upon few pointers, where the experience, if a customer comes from 200 kilometers, then he has to go back because of unavailability of the doctor. So like that, how, like how do we fix kind of like all these gaps through technology, and that I want to phrase in my next question, which is basically, if we see the current trends in healthcare ID, it may be the cloud adoption, It may be the integration with AI to pass on kind of great customer experience, or okay, Mr. Chateau touched upon the interoperability part. So just wanted to understand that how all these kind of like new changes or trends in the healthcare are helping, or like building an approach in terms of in terms of the modernization of the entire healthcare as an industry. So we can start from Mr. Chateau this time.
So, Vineet, I think you got a healthcare is the only sector, and I'm sure Prem and Mr. Srinivas will see this, is the only sector in the world where your customer coming through the door, 100% of your customers are unhappy customers, right? There is no other sector in the world that actually has this problem statement.
Okay.
I think what you have to really look at is, and when we started about 6 years ago, when we started in healthcare, the one thing that one very senior CEO for one of the hospitals told me is, healthcare is all about empathy to the patient. I said, fantastic, I buy that. When I hit the ground, it's exactly the opposite. It is anything but empathy to the patient, right? So it was, the problem was that everything, the patient is standing in a queue, the patient is waiting, there is no, like, we ran so many surveys and everything, they said, look, the patient says, I have to be here, I have no choice, but in today's day and age, this is not a service for me. And I think that is where we have to realize that we have all the tools. I think, like Prem talked about, those 7 C's are perfect. Those 7 C's, if you resolve those 7 C's, you would actually have built a customer-centric or a patient-centric healthcare system, right? Because those things all exist today. You look at today, e-commerce. E-commerce is empowered, where the customer is totally empowered to buy those decisions, return the product if they are not happy. Similarly, that customer already has tasted blood, if one was to put it, right? When it comes to healthcare, if you're able to offer them all of that, right, with technology solution, identify what the issue is. Make sure when the person comes in, they are not made to wait incessantly. If they are waiting, make sure that the appropriate content tool is given to them so that the waiting time period is not made to feel that long, right? And by the end of it, once they've been given whatever the treatment, etc., make sure that we make it easy for them to get access to, let's say, I have to get a blood test done or my medicine picked up. So if we can use all of these tools that are available, and it not necessarily one system will have it, then you'll be able to solve this problem in many ways. And I think one of the core aspects of being able to do this is you have to be cloud enabled. I think healthcare is the one sector which is very far behind in coming onto the cloud. There is a fear, there is a hesitance. And whenever we meet with CTOs, my first thing to them is, you fear about healthcare coming onto the cloud. Where is your bank account today, sir? Your bank account is in the cloud. Why are you worried about healthcare? You're secure, you put your money there, you're doing all your transactions there, you're worried about healthcare. So I think once you're in the cloud, then you have the opportunity that Prem talked about, which is the interoperability or partnership and various assets coming together so that you can improve that entire patient experience. I think that is the way forward. And I think we're seeing the changes happen. The fact that Prem is sitting in an old organization as a CDO is the first shift, right? The fact that Mr. Srinivasulu is looking at technology to try and meet that very high demand that is growing is a shift already that you are beginning to see. And both of them will only converge when you bring cloud and technology together and ensure obviously the service delivers with that all technology in place.
Thanks a lot, sir, and thanks a lot, audience, as well. As we could see that like there is like a lot of thumbs up and smileys. It means audience is enjoying the discussion. So, Mr. Prem, your thoughts on this, please. Please enlighten us.
So, as Shadow talked about the customer from point of view, but see, in a hospital, I think we don't call patients as customers, right? So, patients is more of a trust-built engagement that happens for a very long time. So, we don't call them customers, right? So, or even consumers, we call them patients because they already come with a mindset of, I would say, trouble, right? So, they already come with a troubled mindset. So, when we talk about the current trends that we are looking at. So one is, okay, fine, so we need to reach out for cloud adoption. So today we are not able to do that because we have most of our software vendors in India. We are a boutique software companies, right? So and every hospital has adopted its own process. So there is too much of customization, too much of, I would say, sandboxing done just to ensure they operate to their relevant process for the hospital. So the challenge is there, right? So if I'm looking for a SaaS model, which means that I should be able to change my process according to it, which is not possible in the current scenario. Yes, definitely way forward to think about it. Because there are a lot of initiatives which is done by the government to ABDM, right? So when they talk about interoperability of health records, so phase one, they are looking at creation of the ABAN number, and the phase two, they are looking at interoperability of these records to be shared to the DigiLocker of the patients, which can be shared to another hospital with a consent. So while all this is going on, so I'm looking at three critical things that we need to uh, look forward for modernization. See, one is the interoperability, yes. And second, when you go to this cloud, right? When you go to cloud, cybersecurity becomes a very value-added thing that you need to look for, and also the critical thing. And the third part is, how do you warm up to the DPTP Act 2023? So if I'm looking at the DPTP Act 2023, the critical thing is we or the hospitals who own the data of the patients and staff are the data fiduciaries, which is a very loaded term wherein we are accountable for anything and everything that goes wrong and gets leaked out. Right? So there is a lot of investment that is required to make sure that we are adequately protected in terms of cybersecurity, and also we are within the laws of DPTP 2023. So while I say that all the collaboration, cloud adoption will happen, but these are the three areas that we need to concentrate on.
Thanks a lot, sir. So okay, let's go back to Mr. Srinivaslu, sir, for his opinion, his thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think I second what Shato was mentioning about empathy. I think that's that's the fundamental of treating the patient. If you don't have an empathy, whatever we talk about the technology and all, it's not worth it. So in fact, we have something called I'll share one incident. A year back, my CMO, Chief Medical Officer, called me. He said, Srini, we need to, can I get a patient episode? Okay. He was asking about the patient episode. I was asking why. So when you say patient episode means when patient comes with a problem statement, how many times he visits to, close the, the problem statement. Okay. So how many times he's visiting, he or she visiting the hospital. I said, why do you need that? Curious, I said, he explained me, the patient is paying just 100 rupees as a consultation fee. In our hospital, if you need to pay 100 rupees, okay, and you can visit 3 times. And we have a free hospital. You can decide where you can go. So he said, Srini, the patient is coming, and he also comes up with a company by someone else, family member. So 2 people coming to hospital, imagine, because they have to spend a whole day. So it's a daily wages, each person is 400 rupees. The 2 people, 800 rupees. If they come 2 times, it's almost 1,600 rupees. Whereas you're getting only 100 rupees, but you're making the patient to spend and lose 1,500 rupees. So he wanted to see the patient, how many patients are coming more than a day, how we can reduce the number of visits. So, that's the kind of thought process, So this is possible because we digitize the whole, the visits. Okay. So, we built our own electronic medical record. Today, the challenge in India, okay, but in India is most of the hospitals, I can, this is where I speak wherever I go. we are talking about data, artificial intelligence, everything. For all these things, you need to have an EMR, electronic medical records. That is the fundamental. Okay, it's not just hospital management system. Hospital management system will focus only registration, billing, that's all. Okay, whereas EMR talks about, let's say, particularly for my patient, like let's say the glaucoma patient, the patient visits 50 to 60 times, and the n number of doctors would see the patient. So if the doctor wants to know the previous records, so he can go back and look into the history. So you document the whole, each and every visits. So this helps you to analyze the data. Okay, so I mean so today in India, I would say not even 10% of the hospitals have EMR. Whereas in US, 90% of hospitals have got an EMR. Okay, so and still we use the case sheets, and and again there's no continuity. Okay, so and we built our own EMR 7 years back. Okay, we have, because so that I can customize the way I want, right? And see, typically you're talking about cloud, right? Typically in healthcare you have three kinds of. One is healthcare is always conservative, I mean, on the technology side, not like a banking sector. Okay, but today it's changing. So healthcare always like one kind of healthcare is, let's see if anyone is implementing in any other hospitals, based on their results I will implement. And another type is they don't want to go towards any technology. The last one is they always wanted to be a part of the technology, new technology. Okay, fortunately, we Arvind always use technology. Okay, so we have 135 hospitals. It is not possible to manage, like today we do a lot of campings and weekends. So what we did, we completely hosted our EMR in the cloud almost 6-7 years back. So what I have a flexibility. I can access anytime, anywhere. And important thing is for me, typically our patient volume is so high on Mondays and Saturdays. It is almost double. What I do on Sunday night, I bump up the resources. On Monday evening, I reduce the resources. I have the flexibility. Okay, whenever I will be able to predict, and I can I can do this. So this is one thing. Second thing is, interestingly, if you see, let's say today we have people lose vision if they are severe diabetic, right? That's the first sign. Okay, so but unfortunately most of the people in rural areas, they don't know whether they are diabetic or not, right? By the time they come to us, it is all severe stage, they had to lose. Okay, so that's where what we did, since we had a data. Okay, so since we had data, what we did, see, we worked with the Google. We build an algorithm. Okay, we build an algorithm how a diabetic patient. Okay, so what we did, okay, we build an algorithm, we build an LLM. Of course, Google, Sundar Pichai talks about it. So today with this, typically earlier to diagnose a diabetic, a doctor need to go through the set of grading mechanism. It takes 6 to 8 hours, 2 days, something. Today, since we have an algorithm, okay, we don't need a doctor to diagnose the patient as whether a diabetic or not. A non-clinical person go to the village, takes the image, so the image puts into the cloud. Within a minute, it will give you, my EMR will give you whether the person is diabetic or not. So it's a preventive, screening. Okay, so if the diabetic is severe, we take the patient to the base hospital, does that, So it is a proactive way. So, and imagine today, 1 out of 5 Indians are affected with diabetic. So 20% of Indian population is affected diabetic. So imagine how many doctors you need. It is going to be impractical. So this is a way. Since I have a EMR, I am able to collect the data. Since I have the data, I'm able to build the AI solution. I have the cloud. Okay, so I'm able to use the resources. Okay, and it is addressing the huge population and very cost effective. it is a zero cost for me because I do the mass. Okay, so that is the power of the data. For all these things, fundamentally, you need to have an EMR, and you need to have a EMR or EHR, so that, see, for example, what we have something called summarization. Okay, so today we built an intelligence, like, when a patient comes, okay, so doctor doesn't need to go through the entire history. Okay, so it gives the summary of the patient, so the doctor can spend quality of the time with the patient, understanding. Today EMR is coming at like something called a clinical decision support system, CDSS. Patient talks about the problem, okay, and giving the problem, EMR provides the recommendation. These are all the advices need to be given. So it helps the doctor in handle the patient efficiently. Okay, so that is the power of technology here. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for thanks a lot, sir, for explaining this and like connecting all the dots together, from data to AI, to customer experience, and on top of it, yes. So being empathetic, I think empathy is the key word that we all, I mean, like all the audience are there from the like healthcare, and today's like after today's discussion, some of the like, takeaways will also be around these things. Moving on, my next question would be to Mr. Prem. Sir, my question is basically, that what are, since you are from last couple of years, you are working at St. John's as a CDO, and so with that experience, I just so I frame my question on the basis of your experience with this kind of organization who is handling such volume of the patients, etc. So what are some of the common signs that a healthcare system is outdated, and then it need change, or it need kind of like modernization? And in some cases, we have also seen that though the legacy systems like the HRM, the HMS, or the ERPs which are there, so there are certain kind of known inefficiencies, and there is a lot of like bloated cost also around it, but still we have no it's like no other option than to live with this kind of ecosystem. So if you could just highlight A, like those signs, and B also like these kind of examples, it will help all of us to understand like better.
Okay. So first of all, I think what Srinivas has said, so I've heard about it, and it is very good to listen from you. So thank you for the AI generated, So related to the signs, right? So when you look at outdated system, you land up in a lot of problems, right? You have a volume of patients coming in. One is you try to address the slowness in the system, or you try to address the unplanned outages in the system, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this is something. If you are bought onto an old tech, which means that the system is so rigid and you cannot upgrade, so you have to live with that. And there might be a situation when you will not be able to manage the crowd, which means that people will throw tantrums when they are standing in a queue for a long time, right? And the second, when you're dealing with paper, so you could always look at missing those sheets of paper. So when a patient comes for the next time, so obviously what you do is, just to satisfy him, you give him a new card. So the entire history of the patient is not shown to the doctor before he diagnoses the patient, right? So one is, see, these are some of the things we as a legacy system will have. And the another point is the equipment which are connected to these for the test, right? For example, the labs and all. So if those are also on the legacy side, then you have to do a lot of manual work to transport all those results to the system. And the third point is that the EHR or the EMR. And if you don't have a very robust EMR, then everything gets translated to paper and also here. So you will have two sides of the information. And what do you believe? So multiple sources, it's a difficult thing for a doctor to look at, right? So if you see about 100 patients a day, you have very less time to react. So which are the sources that you need to rely on? So these are all the typical challenges, that we see. And if you look at the hidden cost, I would say one is the maintenance of the systems itself, right? And second is there is a huge resource cost which goes hidden. If a paper goes missing, so we keep running around different departments to get it. So that itself is a huge cost, right? And the information itself goes missing, then obviously then you need to put all your efforts to sit down with the doctor to kind of get to understand what has happened in that episode. It's a double work for the doctor also. So basically, these are some of the hidden costs that we foresee, or maybe we would have incurred about 2.5 years back.
Thanks a lot, sir. I'm sure that this is going to help the audience as well, and the thumbs up which is coming here, it validates like my statement as well. So I am coming again to Mr. Srinivaslu. Sir, you touched base upon like integrating the different systems and then like bringing kind of efficiency in the process, etc. But I want to understand, if the system is outdated. So we spoke about if the systems are say updated, if the systems are kind of like modernized, how it can help you in terms of like bringing efficiency. But I want to, or the audience would also want to understand the impact of outdated systems on patient care and also on the efficiency of the whole operations in healthcare.
Yes.
And also, if you
Yes.
could, at the same time, second part of this question would be, if you could touch base on the key benefits of the like modernization in healthcare systems.
Definitely, sir. My view is we should not modernize application for sake of modernization. Okay. As long as if we have a 60 plus tools which homegrown developed actually, okay, for own hospital. So there are tools like we didn't touch at all. But whereas, for example, EMR, so this was built 7 years back, like it consumes huge resource utilization. Okay, it's a huge, like in fact, we have a wonderful large denominator to reduce the cloud cost. So we because non-profit, when I was in IBM, I had a luxury to utilize the technology. Okay, but now I work for a non-profit organization, so I had to have a different hat. So so the cost is the biggest concern for me here. Everything I need to use open source. Okay, so how I can make it cost efficient. So we have something called when I joined, we had like there was a task for me to reduce the cloud cost. Okay, see, typically the cloud cost goes high, right? So we need to have some kind of a benchmark. What we realized, how we need to have a benchmark. We did we kept patient count in a denomination. Okay, so cloud cost by patient, number of patients, it came around 6 rupee 50 paise per patient. Okay, so then we thought like so how then we decided, can we target for 4 rupees? So we did the whole Windows to Linux, IPsec tunnel. So we did the whole optimization. We brought down to 3 rupees 50 paise. It took 1 year. Okay, then again my CMO called, can we bring it down some more? So then again moved from MS SQL to PostgreSQL, because it's all license. PostgreSQL is open source. Then again he kept a target of 1 rupee 50 paise. Then we made it to 1 rupee 60 paise. Now the target is to 1 rupee. So it helps for us to come out with the innovation innovative, use open source and all those things, pushing us to the boundaries. Okay, to see like what are all the options. Now coming back to, for example, this modernization. See, for us, it's not only for our own consumption. We also help other hospital outside of India, like lower middle income countries. We help them to use our own EMR. Okay, but those hospitals are again, whatever we develop, we wanted to make it as a very low cost for them. So that's where we wanted to build a complete microservice architecture. Okay, so so that I do, the earlier one, any change I need to deploy the whole code. Now it's a modular. I can, whatever the change, I can deploy only that one. And so it kind of, we completely move towards open source. PostgreSQL, .NET Core 2.0, and everything is, open source based. Okay, so that it helps me to reduce my resource utilization. Okay, and it helps me to make it affordable product. Okay, and I focus only EMR, not other. So there are other products still legacy, but as long as I don't expose to the internet, so that's fine for me. I will not have any security threat. Okay, so that's where what we do, we don't open the port, we don't expose this to the internet. Whatever exposed to the internet, we ensure that the security is taken care through the technology. So modernization, yes, okay, based on the need. Okay, if that is going to address your vision and your this, yes. So today we spend resources for AI because that is going to help us to improve the efficiency. So, and it's going to help to improve the the patient care. So that has to be balanced. It's not sake of something we need to upgrade. We should not do that. That's my view.
Mr. Srinivasulu, I will just say one thing, sir. You're on a slippery path with your CMO. I think he's going to want 10 paise very soon. you're setting a trend.
No,
yeah, true.
And after 10 paise comes free.
So, sir, so with your permission, I would want to also request the audience that if you need a consultant who can help you in terms of reducing or optimizing your cloud expenditure, please connect with Mr. Srinivasulu. He'll be able to help you out there. Yeah. Okay. So moving on, we discussed and we touched upon the need for modernization. We also understood, and through both of you that that how these systems bring efficiency, etc. Now, I would want to point my question to Mr. Chateau about the key challenges which organization, healthcare organization will face if we have to adopt a new technology, and how we can sort of overcome these challenges to ensure that the new solutions that we bring in as a change are scalable and secure.
So I think, first of all, I'll answer the scalable and security because Mr. Srinivasulu talked about it. I think there is no question you have to use technology stack that is relevant for today and gives you the scalability. So even my healthcare, we've done exactly the same. In fact, when he was talking about it, he sort of was defining in my mind what we have done. We are also microservices, completely open source stack, highly scalable. And I think there is a myth that has existed that if you're on open source, because it happens in every client meeting I go for, oh, you're open source, that means data security is a concern. It's exactly the opposite. Open source gives you access to the best data security, right? Second, go on cloud, choose your cloud provider effectively. What can we do in terms of data security when likes of AWS and Azure are spending billions of dollars in building data security layers? You should do what you're best at and partner with organizations on what they are best at, right? They are best at cloud optimization, cloud compute, data security. Leave it to them. If you see it, the cost of cloud compute is coming down over time. Storage is coming down even faster, right? Why would you, as a healthcare organization, set up data center? You're not a data center company. Why are you setting up on-prem systems? Why are you setting up hardware? That is not relevant for you. So I think that is important, that organizations today first adopt technology that is relevant And that itself will give you the scalability that you're looking for. Across all our hospitals today, because we are on the cloud, a new hospital needs to be added on. I can take a 100-bedded hospital live in 30 days. Why? Because my master data upload is only exactly 2 days. Rest of the time is training, and then you can go live. You don't have to set up the infrastructure all over again. So that's to answer the latter part of your point that you had asked. I think the challenges that you will face, and that we've seen in any of the modernization and transformation, is change management. Retail, easy to do. Demonetization, Prime Minister can get up at 8 p.m. and say, switch off tomorrow. Healthcare, sorry, it doesn't work like that. The kingmakers in healthcare are your doctors. You can do whatever you want. They will not change till they are comfortable with what you're offering them. Right? I think that is the one thing. And it's not just doctors, it's doctors, nurses, and then the front office staff. So the only way to fuel this is you have to ensure that your platform UI and your platform, the way it comes across to the user, is beneficial. So therefore, if you have an effective use of CDSS, EMR, today we are seeing 90% across all our hospitals. Over 90% of our doctors are on EMRs today. Completely structured data. Why? Because we have designed, this is the 8th version of our EMR in less than 12 months. Because we've constantly taken their feedback, and today we've brought an EMR into a place which mimics on how they do paper prescription. So now your change management from how I did on paper to how I'm trying to do it on the system has been minimized. So therefore you can bring them over. Same thing with nursing. So I think the biggest challenge that we have to come across is technology is for us, is like literally, I think Mr. Srinivaslu and Prem, and we are all back office, right? We are not front office. The front office is who have to accept that change. And they will only accept it if it makes life easy for them. Anything which makes life difficult for them, nothing will happen. You will invest fantastic technology, you will bring it in, but unless and until the user is comfortable with it. I know Prem talked about it being a patient, but I will still go back to a customer experience. If you go back and see what Amazon is most valued at, Amazon.com in the US, right? It was valued at for its single click buy button. In one click, I look at something, I click on once, and it then transaction completes. Same thing for doctors, nurses, patients. If you make it as easy for them, as easy as possible, reduce the number of clicks, let the data automatically populate because it's already there in the system. Use automation, use process automation, use AI effectively so that you can start. If you bring all of this together and you make it easy for them, you make the data interoperable so that everybody, like if I've gone and seen Dr. A and I'm going to see Dr. B, Dr. A does not have to copy, paste and bring it in. I have seen EMR solutions where doctors have created their templates in Word and then the hospital has implemented an EMR and all the doctor is doing is sitting, copying from Word and putting it in, right? So I asked the doctor, why do you, he said, what do I do? They want the EMR. I can't keep doing it. I don't want to type. So I found my way around it. I put everything on Word, I copy paste and I put it there, right? So that does not solve. I think UI, user experience, that is very, very critical to drive change management. And if you've got over that hill of change management, I think there is nothing that stops healthcare. I don't think the doctors are fighting it. They just want something that is productive, or nurses, or front office, something that is productive for them.
Great. So very well said, sir. Thanks a lot for your insight on this. So Sneha, if you have joined back, you would want to run an audience poll and you want to announce something. I mean, if you've joined back, because I'm not able to see you on the stage.
Yes.
Is here.
So sorry for the inconvenience earlier. I just got dropped off from the call, and so I'm extremely sorry for that. And like I had a full long page of paragraph prepared, like not a long page of paragraph, but I had like a few lines prepared for everyone and their introduction. But then I think the kind of discussions that we had today in itself was a testament to where they stand. So thank you so much for participating. Um, I would
So
like to take a moment to let everyone know that we have run a few polls and we would like you all to, just give in your ideas and thoughts behind that. Just participate in that so that we can get to know you a little better. Vineet, can we proceed with the questions or you like to?
yeah, I have, so So I just did a time check as well, and I
Yes,
think
yes.
it's like I have few more kind of questions. And sirs, if we could take just like respond to those questions in 60 seconds or say 90 seconds, will be fantastic. So my next question is to all of you. Actually, we can start with Mr. Prem. So, how should healthcare organization define and measure success metrics during the transition process? So, when I say that the transition process, that essentially means from a legacy system to a modern system, and like what advice would you want to give to the healthcare service providers on migrating to the new solution? It can be adoption of a cloud technology, it can be say enabling AI, etc. So we can start with Mr. Prem. Your thoughts on this, sir?
Sure. So yeah, so I will kind of give you an example of how we did our digital transformation style 2 years ago. So first thing is we wanted to look at which are the areas that we want to focus on to improve. Right. Now, first it starts with the I would say how is the uh, connectivity part, and second is the patient engagement, and third is the I would say the pre and post co visit, pre and post visit experience. And the fourth part is the unmet need. How do you address the unmet needs of the patient? So these are typically the front office stuff that I am looking at, right? And I also have a back office part, which is the how do I deal with the resources as well as how do I deal with the cost. The cost is also includes the patient cost as well, right? So if a patient comes here traveling 200 kilometers and goes back without seeing a doctor, so it is a waste of time and money for him, right? So these are the 6 areas that we want to concentrate and improve. And what we exactly did is we had the entire ERP package as one, which only includes the back office and front office. So we have broken it down into two, wherein we separated our hospital information system completely off the back office. So it has everything, including the transaction and some portions of EMR. And the next thing what we did is we implemented a comprehensive back office system, which is on S4HANA and SuccessFactors to manage our resources as well as the financials. So there is no one size fits all. So it is a transformation which is going on for the last 2 years, right? So any transformation, you cannot have an end date to it, saying that, okay, fine, I'll be alive on this day. It is kind of a journey that we are looking at. So when we implement certain things, and ideally these things would have, I would say, become a legacy, then we have to reinvent and put the new process and systems in place. So it is a continuous journey for us. And what I would say is typically for any change management, communication is very important. Right? One is let's start with the purpose, and second is you need to choose the right people in the system who can help you implement these solutions that you're looking for. Right? And third is how well is your process defined? Do you need to relook at your process, or can you carry forward your old process? Those things we need to figure out. The last part is you coming into the tool, right? So which tool you want to implement. Is the tool scalable? Is the tool customizable? So is it on cloud? So how easy is it to access it? And how does you improve or reduce the number of clicks for people? So all those comes in. So what I would say is for any transformation, right? The critical thing is define the purpose. I call it triple P method. Define the process, identify the right people who support you in this transformation. Third is look at your process in detail. So without even looking at a process, if you implement this tool, then it is going to be a mess. And finally, look at the tool that you want to implement.
Thanks a lot, sir. So Mr. Srinivaslu, so over to you. I mean, your thoughts. Yes,
Yeah,
Neha.
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Srinivaslu actually has a flight to catch, so
Okay.
he would have to, yeah, he would have to depart early from the session. But thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for being a part of the
Okay.
session. It was
Thank you
wonderful.
all. Thank
Thanks.
you all. Nice meeting you all. Thanks for all the. Sorry, I need to leave. Sorry.
It's no
Yeah.
problem. No
Thank you,
problem.
guys. Thank you.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Sure.
Thank you.
So Mr. Shato, I will kind of come to you now for your thoughts on this.
Yes, I agree with what Prem said. I think I would just add it very quickly to say it has to be an effective use of what technology. You can't just throw technology for the heck of it. You have to see what purpose it is serving, what is the problem statement that you're trying to solve, and at the end of it, do you have the right tools that you're implementing it with, and communication and transformation, change management. I think these would be the key factors, right? If you can put all of this together, I think you will not have a problem. But again, I go back to the point: healthcare is not as easy as it looks from the outside. All the other sectors are easy to do. Healthcare takes time, and I think the longer the organization has had a legacy system, the more difficult and the resistance to change, right? And frankly speaking, I don't blame anybody, because who's going to take that onus, right? At the end of the day, whoever takes that onus to drive the chain is also taking that huge headache for no love or extra joy to drive that change. So I think all of this all plays a very, very pivotal role. So it has to be right from the leadership to the board, to everybody has to be aligned to say, we're going to drive change. We know there are going to be pitfalls. We know there are going to be issues. We know there are going to be complaints. But we're going to give ourselves 6 months or 1 year, as Prem mentioned, in his case, 2 years, to drive that change through, because it takes time. There's no question about it.
Thanks a lot, sir. So Sneha, I think we are running on a time check.
Yes,
We can take say, I mean, like 1 or 2 questions.
sure.
We've got 3 minutes left.
Sure. So I will just recite the questions, and then whoever wants to take it up can pitch in. So the first question that we got was from Asit Kumar Vidyarthi. He is asking, every healthcare setup is trying to offer best services and improve processes by ERM and CRMs once the patient reaches to the setup. But what are the ways you try to engage with patients who are trying to have care discovery?
Okay, so that's a very, very interesting question.
We'd
So,
love to hear from both of you, actually, if time permits.
see, as I initially pointed out, so healthcare, we have a very robust CRM in today's market, right? So we do have certain platform which is basically a survey that whether the patient has felt good or not during the treatment process. So we don't have any platforms that keep the patient engaged. So that is the truth. So there's a huge gap in the market today. If somebody is building a CRM, I think India is a good place to start with.
I think I'd add to Prem to say, apart from the CRM, you could also decide what you're using that CRM for, right? So when a patient is coming into the hospital, just sending content doesn't matter, because that's really not what they're interested in. And the last thing you want them is to Google search on what is wrong with them, right? Because you're just going to make it more difficult for the doctor. So I think one of the things that is effective use, again, I'd go back to whether it's a CRM, ERM, or any tool that you use. If you can move the patient as swiftly as possible through the process, I think that is the most important goal to achieve. That from the time I arrive in a hospital, that if I have arrived and my appointment with the doctor is at 11, then make sure that by 11:10 I have seen the doctor and I moved on. Because the more you have queuing, the more you have waiting, the more you have resentment. So if you want to remove that pain, I think you've got to make sure that you move people through it. And I don't believe that you need a queue management system for it, right? We have hospitals which are working seamlessly without a queue management system, and the patients are moving as swiftly as possible, right? So you really need to think of a on ground process and then apply the technology solutioning to it, right? And I think if you can do that and you can move the patient out quickly, you'll have a very, very happy patient who will go back and say, I went for my doctor appointment, it was done on time, all my tests were done on time. And I think that is, if you can get that out of a patient, you'll see that they'll come back again.
Thanks a lot, Mr. Shato. So Sneha, I think we are running out of time now.
Yes,
So I'll just like summarize the takeaways for the audience.
definitely.
So one, like keyword in healthcare, I mean, empathy. It is most important for all of us to be empathetic towards our like patients. The like second most important takeaway is the use of technology is kind of it's like inevitable, but yes, how do we use technology to ensure that we increase efficiency in the processes to pass on a great experience to the patients, because the patients are already in pain. Now, if you make them wait, if they're not happy with the process the hospital has, it may further increase their pain. So like technology should be used on both sides, like doctor, nurses, so patients, and the process. So all these four, like cohort of healthcare ecosystem should be happy, or at least it should try to make them happy. And yes, the coming on the other side, the scalability, the data privacy, and all these aspects of technology is very important to understand. So we all should understand that at what stage and which technology is important to build upon. We spoke about open source, we spoke about CRM, we spoke about AI, we spoke about the communication channels. Like all these technologies are important in healthcare, but the selection of technology is very important. So sir, I mean, in 30-second or in 60-second maximum, if you want to pass on a closing, kind of like remark. Yeah, so we can start with Mr. Prem.
Okay. So, closing remark, I would say that one into for the digital transformation that we are looking at, right? So, wherein it is going to be a critical thing in today's healthcare industry. Like you said, that the first thing is identifying the right tools. It makes a lot of sense, right? So, that's something I would just say would be a takeaway for people. Yeah. And the second part is, like Shadow said, improving the patient experience, right? So if you do that, then ideally you will not be requiring CRM at all. To keep the patient happy.
Thanks a lot, sir. Mr. Shato, your remarks, please.
Nothing, just to say that whatever we can do, I think technology has all the tools available. Healthcare providers have to choose which is the right tool. But there is a huge opportunity to try and improve patient experience using healthcare, using appropriate technology solutioning. I think we're just seeing the early days of it. We are at, if it is out of 10, I would say today, everything that we talked about, we are at about 1.5 to 2 out of 10. There is a whole journey ahead of us. And I think there is no better country in the world than India where experimenting actually happens. So this is the best place to do it.
Thanks a lot, sir. Over to you, Sneha.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vineet, firstly, for moderating this insightful discussion. And a heartfelt thanks to our esteemed panelists, Mr. Prem Anthony, Mr. Shatoraha, and also Mr. Srinivaslu, who had to leave us, unfortunately. But before we conclude, I'd like to encourage you all to continue all these conversations that we had today. We would like you to connect with each other on LinkedIn, follow our speakers, and stay engaged with the latest trends and innovations in this sector. Also, a recording of this session will be available to all of you very soon. Thank you all once again for joining us, and have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thanks.
much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Have a
Bye. Bye.